We were discussing this 5 paper 2 variant 2 and we have already completed to questions 22, 23. Now we have to start from question number 24. Okay. In this question, they are saying which statement about magnets are correct. So this question is related to magnetism basically. So in option 1, they are saying permanent magnets are made up of steel. Is it a correct statement or false statement, students? Is it a correct statement or false statement? Yes, obviously, this is a correct statement. Permanent magnets are made up of steel. So, option number 1 is the correct option. All right. Now, in the option 2, they are saying electromagnets are temporary magnets. So, this option is also correct because electromagnets are those magnets which will behave as a magnet when the electricity is passing through it. So, usually, they are temporary magnets. When the electricity is passing through it, they will behave as a temporary magnets, or when the electricity is off, so they will lose their magnetic power. All right, so option 2 is also correct. Now, students, look at the option 3. In option 3, they are saying a magnet can be used to induce magnetism in an iron bar. Obviously, like for example, this is a permanent magnet which has two poles, north and south. If I will place an iron nail in front of this magnet, so this iron nail will be magnetized just because of this magnet. So this iron nail will become a temporary magnet. Okay. So it means all these three statements are correct. So A is the correct answer. Well done, students. A is the correct answer. Now I'm moving towards the next question, which is question number 25. I think, Alize, you have asked this question from me, I remember, right? In this question, they are saying in a circuit, two identical lamps are in parallel. So basically, there are two identical lamps which are connected in parallel combination. The parallel pair of lamps is in series with a resistor and a battery. So basically, this is a battery, all right, and it is connected with one resistor which is in series, and two identical lamps are connected in parallel combination, all right. Now they are saying the battery does 120 joule of work. So work done of a battery is given, that is 120 joule, and the 50 coulomb charge of a battery is given. Now they are saying in each lamp 40 joule of work is done by the charge that passes through it in time t. The EMF of the battery is E and the potential difference across the lamp is V. So we have to find the E and V. So basically the total and EMF of a battery. So EMF formula is work upon charge. So work is 120 joule, which is performed by the battery, and charge is 50 coulomb. So when we will divide both of them, students, so we will get 2.4 volt. Exactly. 2.4 volts. So it means answer can be A or answer can be B. C cannot be a right answer, Hafsa. Answer can be A or B. Okay. Now they are saying, yes, beta Hafsa, EMF unit is volt. Okay. EMF unit is volt. Now they are saying that we have to find the potential difference across the lamp. So देखिए बेटा charge is flowing through this circuit. So in series circuit, charge is same. But when this charge will pass through these two lamps, so this charge will be equally divided across each. Why it is equally divided? Because each lamp is connected in parallel. Okay, each lamp is connected in parallel. Vanya, Amna, you have joined late, beta. Let me tell you, we are discussing the paper October, November 2025, paper 2, variant 2, question number 25. Okay, so total charge which is flowing through the circuit is 50 coulomb. But when this charge will reach at this junction, so this charge will be divided equally across each lamp because they are connected in parallel. So each lamp will receive the charge of 25 coulomb. All right, 25 coulomb. And the work performed by the lamp is 40 joule. So now we will use the formula of potential difference, that is work upon charge. So work is basically 40 joule, charge is 25 coulomb. So after division, we will get 1.6 volt. So it means the students B is the correct answer. All right, B is the correct answer. Have you understood this question, students? Ayan? Beta, we are solving the same paper which we were discussing in the yesterday class, October, November 2025, P2, V2. Okay, students, this top question is clear to you because it is little bit lengthy or difficult question. Now I'm moving towards the next question, that is question number 26. In question number 26, they are saying two wires X and Y are made from the same metal. देखिए बेटा, if two wires, let's suppose that this wire is X and this wire is Y, and they are made up of same metal. So students, if the wires are made up of same metal, so it means they will have same resistivity. If the wires are made up of same metal, so they will have same resistivity and they have same resistance as well. So it means that the students' resistivity and resistance of both wires are same. Now they are saying which row identifies a possible pair of or values of X and Y. So now we have to identify the correct length and diameter of wire X and wire Y. So you can see, now you can see beta, in option for wire X, the diameter value and length value is same. Okay. Length of X and diameter of X is same for all options. Now we have to find the, so, 1 minute student. Acha, now student, we have to find the length is given and diameter is given. So I will use the formula R is equals to rho L upon A. So basically resistance and resistivity are same. So R upon resistivity is equals to length upon area. Alright students. So resistivity and resistance are same. So let me consider the same. Now students, we can find the length upon area ratio with the option given in for the length X. All right. So length of wire X is 50 centimeter and diameter. Acha, it is diameter is given. So basically diameter ratio is D square. Area is basically equals to pi D square upon 4. So I'm ignoring pi and 4. Just I'm putting D square here. So R upon rho is equals to 50 divided by 0.4 whole square. Okay, students. So can you tell me, divide both of them and tell me what we are getting? 312.5. तो देखिए अब हम क्या करेंगे, 312.5 ये वैल्यू आ रही है, 312.5। अब हम ये देखेंगे कि लेंथ y और डायमीटर y किसका रेशो 312.5 के बराबर आ रहा है। जिसका रेशो 312.5 के बराबर आ रहा है, दैट वन इज द करेक्ट आंसर। ऑल राइट, सो नाउ स्टूडेंट्स, हाउ वी विल सॉल्व दिस? R upon rho is equals to L upon D square. So R upon rho value is 312.5. ये हमें फाइंड करनी है वैल्यू। तो let me put length is 200 and diameter is 0.10 का होल स्क्वायर। इसको सॉल्व करके बताएं स्टूडेंट्स क्या आ रहा है। आर यू गेटिंग 312.5? Yes students, what answer you are getting? Hurry up. 125. Okay, 125. All right. So now everyone, why only one student is giving me response? 200 divided by 0.10 whole square. Are we getting 312.5 students? Come on, beta. Hurry up, give me your response. No. All right. So now we will solve for option B. All right. Okay, Amna. Now we will solve for option B. Length divided by D square. So length for option B is 200 and diameter is 0.20 whole square. Divide both of them and tell me, are we getting 312.5? 200 divided by 0.20 whole square. Ayan? No. Now we have to solve for option C. So length is 200 and diameter is 0.8 whole square. What we are getting, students? 200 divided by 0.8 whole square. 200 divided by 0.8 whole square. So now we are getting 312.5. So it means, students, C is the correct answer. C is the correct answer. Student, if you have not understood this question, please tell me, I will explain you again. If you have not understood this question, please tell me, I will explain you again. Clear? Well done, Inaya. Ayan, Ahmed, Zureis. Okay, good. Okay, good. Inaya, Hafsa. So I'm going to clear the screen, everyone. Can I? Can I clear the screen, Aiza? All right. Now, students, I am moving towards the next question, which is question number 27. In question number 27, they are saying which circuit contains a light dependent resistor. देखिए बेटा, light dependent resistor is a transducer and the symbol of LDR, light dependent resistor. So it's a resistor whose resistance depend upon the light intensity. So these two arrows are showing the symbol of light intensity. So it means, students, well done. D is the correct answer. Well done, Ayan. Well done, everyone. D is the correct answer. This is the symbol of LDR. तो देखिए एक क्वेश्चन अगर डिफिकल्ट होगा तो ऑब्वियसली अदर क्वेश्चन विल बी इजियर. नाउ क्वेश्चन नंबर 28. In question number 28, they are saying a teacher asked three students to write down an equation to determine the combined resistance of resistors with resistance Ry and Rz. So basically Ry is this resistor, Rz is this resistor, and they both are connected in parallel combination across with each other. And total or combined resistance of these two resistors is Rc. So basically, what is the formula of combined resistance? When the resistors are connected in parallel, the formula is 1 upon R is equals to 1 upon R1 plus 1 upon R2. So we will use this formula to find the combined resistance. So this R is basically the combined resistance and we are using the combined resistance symbol RC. And R1 I can take RY and R2 I can take RZ. So basically the formula for combined resistance is 1 upon RC is equals to 1 upon RY plus 1 upon RZ. Well done, everyone. So only the student one statement is correct. So it means the students B is the correct answer. All right. B is the correct answer. Is it clear to you, everyone? Okay, now I'm moving towards the next question, question number 29. In question number 29, they are saying an electrical appliances has a symbol on it to indicate it's double insulated. देखिए बेटा ये सिंबल होता है डबल इंसुलेटेड का. यूजुअली हेयर ड्रायर पर, चार्जिंग फैन पर इस तरह का सिंबल बना हुआ होता है बिकॉज दीज डिवाइसेस आर डबल इंसुलेटेड. अच्छा, लेट मी टेल यू वन थिंग कि जो डिवाइसेस डबल इंसुलेटेड होती हैं वी डोंट नीड टू कनेक्ट अर्थ वायर विद डबल इंसुलेटेड डिवाइस. डबल इंसुलेटेड का मतलब ये है कि दीज डिवाइसेस आर कवर्ड विद इंसुलेटर. All right, that's why it is double insulated and we don't need to connect earth wire when any object is made up of insulated body. ठीक है, earth wire is always connected with those which has metallic bodies. So now they are saying which statement is correct. So now in option A, they are saying a two-core flexible cable with no earth wire is used to connect it to the main supply. अच्छा, टू कोर का मतलब ये होता है टू पिन प्लग. वी नीड टू कनेक्ट द टू पिन प्लग. टू पिन प्लग मीन्स वन वायर इज फॉर लाइव वायर and other wire is for neutral wire. Obviously, we cannot operate any device without live and neutral wire. तो इतनी statement तो सही है. With no earth wire, ये statement भी सही है because already the object is appliance is double insulated. तो डबल इंसुलेटेड का मतलब ये है कि इट हैज इंसुलेटेड बॉडी इनसाइड एंड आउटसाइड द अप्लायंस, सो वी डोंट नीड टू कनेक्ट द अर्थ वायर. ठीक है, so it means students A is the correct answer. A is the correct answer. When any object is double insulated, so we need only two pin plug which has one live wire and one neutral wire to operate the device, but we don't need any earth wire. Is it clear to you, everyone? All right. Now I'm moving towards the next question, question number 30. In question number 30, they are saying a length of wire moved across the space between the poles of a magnet. A voltmeter measure the EMF generated between the two ends of the wire. देखिए इस question का मतलब क्या है? They are saying a length of wire. So this is the length of wire moves across the between the two poles of a magnet. Suppose that these are the two poles of magnet. One must be north and other must be south. What we are doing, we are moving this wire between the two poles of magnet. Like moving means we are moving the wire up and down. A voltmeter measures the EMF generated between the two ends of the wire. So these two ends of the wire is connected with the voltmeter. All right, so when this wire is moving up and down, so it means that it is generating an EMF. All right, so this is an induced EMF which is generated just because of the movement of this conductor between the two poles of the magnet. Now they are saying what gives the highest reading on the EMF? Voltmeter. So देखिए बेटा, this is the concept of induced magnetism. Induced magnetism, whenever we are generating the electricity or EMF with the magnetic field, so basically when we are moving the wire up and down, we are disturbing the magnetic lines of forces. And this disturbed magnetic field will induce the EMF in the coil. So when speed of the wire, so the faster we will move the wire, the greater will be the disturbed magnetic field. It means if I will move the wire with the fastest speed, so I'm disturbing the magnetic field with a greater rate. So more disturbed magnetic field will induce more EMF, so the voltmeter reading will increase. So answer can be A or answer can be B. Now in the next option, we are saying strength of magnet. So obviously, when the magnetic lines of forces are greater, strength of magnet means when the magnetic lines of forces are greater. So it means, students, when the magnetic lines of forces are greater, so greater magnetic lines of forces will induce greater EMF. So it means, students, B is the correct answer. Well done, Zarlish. Well done, everyone. B is the correct answer. Is it clear to you, students? Okay, good. Now I'm moving towards the next question. Question number 31. Acha, I can show you the simulation of this question, student. But right now, at this time, when the your papers are around the corner, so I'm not going to show you the simulations because we have already discussed these simulations in the class. Just give me 1 minute so you can understand this electromagnetism topic in a better way. EMT induction topic. Mm, yeah, this one. So this simulation will help us to understand the concept of induced magnetism. So right now you can see in this beta simulation, this is a simple conductor. In the question which was given in the paper, we were taking the wire, but here we are taking the coil. And this is the bulb which is connected with the coil. So you can see there is no battery in this circuit which will turn on this bulb. So now this is a magnet and I'm moving the magnet slowly. You can see we can connect the voltmeter as well. These are the field lines. So now you can see I am moving the magnet slowly inside and outside the coil. So basically magnetic lines of forces are disturbed. So these disturbed magnetic field will induce the EMF in the coil and you can see the voltmeter reading is very low. But now I'm moving the magnet with the fastest rate. Can you see this, student? When I'm moving the magnet with the fastest rate, so it will show the greater induced EMF. Clear, everyone? Actually, number of turns can also affect this. You can see there are fewer turns and there are more turns. So now what I'm doing, I'm just putting the magnet inside this coil. So it will induce less EMF. And here it will induce greater EMF. Okay. Now I'm moving towards the next question, which is question number 31. In question number 31, they are saying the diagram shows a simple AC generator. So these are the two poles of magnet. This is a flat rectangular coil. And these are the two ends of the coil GH. What is connected to GH so that the alternating current can be provided to an external circuit? So can you tell me, students, what we need to connect here? So basically, we will not connect the cell because it is an AC generator. AC generator is generating the AC current. So how should I connect the cell? We will not connect the soft iron core because iron core is usually placed inside this coil. So either the option can be B or C. So देखिए बेटा commutators. Commutators are connected in motor, not in generator. So C is the right answer, slip rings. So we need to connect the slip rings with the two ends of the flat rectangular coil to produce the electricity. Clear, students? Okay, now I'm moving towards the next question. That is question number 32. Acha, okay, Naya. Question number 32. In question number 32, they are saying the diagram shows the coil in a DC electric motor in two opposite direction. So you can see this is a flat rectangular coil. All right. And the direction of the flat rectangular coil is exactly opposite. Exactly opposite. All right. Like this side PQ is at the left side and this side PQ is at the right side. Which part of the motor is responsible for reverse the current? They are asking which part of the motor is responsible to reverse the current. Yes, student. Brushes. देखिए बेटा, brushes are providing the contact between the coil and the cell. So brushes is not a correct answer. Coil. So this is itself coil. So coil is not responsible to rotate itself. So now magnets. Magnets are not responsible to rotate the coil. So nahin, magnet can be responsible or split ring commutator. These two could be a right answer. But which one is the correct answer, student? Option C or D? Which one is the correct answer? Exactly, Hafsa. D is the right answer. Basically, a split ring commutator. A split ring commutator is shaped like this, which is connected with the end terminals of the coil. A split ring commutator is responsible to reverse the direction of current after every half rotation of coil. So D is the right answer. Clear, students? Is it clear to you? Okay, now question number 33. In question number 33, they are saying the arrow shows the path of an alpha particle traveling towards the center of a gold nucleus. So now you can see, student, this is a gold nucleus. This is the path of the alpha particle. So now they are saying which description of the path of the alpha particle after striking the gold nucleus is correct. What is the name of this experiment, students? Can anybody identify what is the name of this experiment? Hafsa is saying gold foil. Yes, students, what is the name of this experiment which they are talking about? Exactly. It's a Rutherford gold foil experiment. It is also called Geiger-Marson experiment as well. All right. In this experiment is basically proving the evidence of nucleus. All right. So you can see these circles are representing the atoms of gold. Can you see this, students? These circles are representing the atom of gold and this tiny dot is representing the nucleus. So you can see the nucleus size is very small as compared to the atom of gold. So now when I will click on this source, so the alpha particles will be emitted. All right, I can click on this button to check the trace as well. So these are the alpha particles which are bombarded on the thin gold foil. So what you can observe this from this animation. Most of the alpha particles are moving in a straight line and few alpha particles are deflected. Am I right, students? Like if I pause this screen, so you can see most of the alpha particles are moving in a straight line. Most of the alpha particles are moving. Few alpha particles are showing the deflection. Only few alpha particles. So what we can conclude from this thing, beta, that atom is 99% empty. So that's why most of the alpha particles are moving in a straight line. And atom contains a dense core, which is called nucleus. Nucleus contains positive charge. Alpha particle also contains positive charge. So that's why they are positive will beta repel each other. So that's why alpha particles are deflecting from its position. So now let me move towards this question. What they are asking in this option, which description of the path of the alpha particle after striking the gold nucleus is correct? Alpha particle is deflected through a very small angle towards the top of the page. Alpha particle is deflected back along its initial path. Alpha particle carry on in a straight line with no deflection. Alpha particle is captured by the nucleus. देखिए बेटा, nucleus will not capture the alpha particle because nucleus and alpha particle both contains the same charge. So there will be force of repulsion. So nucleus cannot capture the alpha particle. Okay. And C cannot be a right answer as well because they are saying there will be no deflection, which is not possible. So now you can see the alpha particle. Yes, beta, it is towards the center. Exactly. It is towards the center of a gold nucleus. Towards the center means like this is the atom of gold and this is center. So basically alpha particle is on head-on collision. Head-on collision. So when it will strike with the dense core, so it will be deflected back in the opposite direction. Hafsa, it will deflect it back in the opposite direction because nucleus is a dense core and alpha particles are also helium nuclei. So when two nucleus will collide with each other, so they will be exactly move in the opposite direction. Alpha particle will move in the opposite direction. They are deflected back. So it means A is the correct answer, students, or B is the correct answer. Which one is the right answer, students? A. Acha, 1 minute. Let me show you one more thing. Basically, A is not a correct answer, beta. B is the right answer. Just give me 1 minute. Exactly, beta. It would deflect back, Hafsa, along its initial path. It would deflect back along its initial path. Just give me 1 minute. Let me show you something. Hmm. It's a head-on collision, beta. It's a gold nucleus. When the alpha particle will collide with the gold nucleus, so it means it will deflect it back with the same angle in the opposite direction because two nucleus are colliding with each other. And when both nucleus are dense core. So when two dense core will collide with each other, so they will deflect it back in the opposite direction. Right, Vanya? B is the correct answer, Vanya. You can see this animation. You can see this animation, Vania. You can see when the alpha particle is exactly head on the gold nucleus. So you can see it is deflected with a larger angle. But these alpha particles are moving straight because they are passing through the empty spaces of atom of gold. But when the alpha particle is on the head-on collision, so this alpha particle will deflect in the opposite direction because two nucleus are dense core and these dense cores are colliding with each other. Okay. All right, students. You can see this diagram as well that there is only one alpha particle which is deflecting exactly in the opposite direction because they are on a head-on collision. Okay. You can see this animation as well. This is a simple Rutherford experiment. This green plate is a photosensitive plate which is a screen. This is a gold foil. This is the radioactive source which is emitting the alpha particle. So you can see most of the alpha particles are passing straight and few alpha particles are deflected exactly in the opposite direction. Only few alpha particles, you can observe it. I have seen one flash here, all right? So it means the students, few alpha particles are deflecting in the opposite direction because of head-on collision. It is clear to you, students? B is the correct answer of this question, right? Right, everyone? Okay. Now question number 34. In question number 34, they are saying a teacher writes the nuclide equation for a fusion reaction. So you can see this is a fusion reaction when two lighter nuclei are fused together to form a heavy nucleus with a release of one neutron. What is the missing number x and the missing element q? तो पहले तो मुझे ये बताइए कि 2 4 किसका प्रोटॉन नंबर होता है 2 और किसका न्यूक्लियॉन नंबर होता है 4? Alpha particle. And alpha particles are helium nuclei. Exactly. Alpha particles are helium nuclei. It contains 2 protons and 4 nucleons. So basically when 2 hydrogen nuclei are fused together, so they will form a heavy nucleus of helium. Alright, so answer can be B or answer can be D. Now we have to balance this equation. So how we will balance this equation, students? So you can see 1 and 1 will become 2. All right, so proton numbers are 2. So here nucleon number is 5. So it should be 5 as well. So 2 में हम क्या ऐड करेंगे कि 5 बन जाए students? Obviously D is the right answer. We have to add 3 here. So 2 plus 3 will become 5. Basically this is the isotope of hydrogen and this isotope of hydrogen is called deuterium. Deuterium. Because of 2 nucleons number, it is called deuterium. This is another isotope of hydrogen, 1, 3, which is called tritium. So when deuterium and tritium are fused together, so they will form a heavy nucleus, helium, and with the release of high energy. Such reactions are called fusion reactions. Clear, students? Now question number 35. In question number 35, they are saying radon gas is a source of radiation that contribute to background radiation. What does not contribute to background radiation? Yes, beta. It's a very easy question. What does not contribute to background radiation? Vania, food and drink. Food and drink. Okay. Vania is saying B. Vania, do you know banana is slightly radioactive? Do you know this thing, Vania? Banana is slightly, you can't see my screen. You can't see my screen, students. Banana is slightly radioactive. So all the foods and drinks emit radioactive radiation, but they are not harmful for human body. All right. So D is the right answer. Rocks are also emitting the background radiation, electromagnetic rays, which I think, Suresh, there is problem with your network. All right. So now, students, electromagnetic rays means cosmic microwave background radiations which are present in surrounding. So it means option A is not a correct answer. All right. Food and drink also emit background radiation. Rocks also emit background radiation. So only correct answer is D. Okay. Now, question number 36. In question number 36, they are saying two beams of radiation P and S enter in an electric field as shown. So you can see this is a positive electrode and this is a negative electrode. So P is deflecting towards the positive. So it means P must contain negative charge. Because of the opposite charges, they will attract each other. And S is deflected towards the negative plate because it contains positive charge. So what should be the right answer, students? Negative charge, so it means P must be beta. So answer can be A or B. S contains positive charge, so S must be beta. So A is the correct answer. Exactly, beta. A is the correct answer. Acha, but it is not attracted towards the negative plate. देखिए बेटा आयजा ये टच तो नहीं कर रहा है इसकी वजह ये है कि अल्फा पार्टिकल इज अ मैसिव पार्टिकल ठीक है Alpha is a massive particle which contains 2 protons and 2 neutrons, यानी कि total 4 nucleons. तो अल्फा का inertia ज्यादा होता है. So due to the large inertia, it is not showing the greater deflection. ठीक है, इसका inertia ज्यादा है तो ये slightly bend होता है, slightly deflect हो रहा है because of its greater inertia. But if I talk about the beta particle, so beta particle is one electron. And electron is a very small particle. Electron is a very small particle and its mass is very small, 9.11 into 10 raised to power minus 31 kg. So which is almost negligible mass. So this has a smaller inertia. Due to the smaller inertia, it will show greater deflection. तो ये इस तरह पूरा bend हो जाता है like this. But alpha इतना bend नहीं होता. Alpha इतना deflection show नहीं करता because alpha is a massive particle. ये चीज clear है? All right. Now I'm moving towards the next question, question number 37. In question number 37, they are saying which changes take place in the nucleus when it decay by beta emission. Beta emission. देखिए, for example, अगर मैं आपको एक beta emission की example दूं, तो carbon 614 is the isotope of carbon. So when it will emit the beta particle, so the daughter nuclei which will form here is nitrogen. So its proton number will increase 1 time or its nucleon number will remain same. So how is it possible that the one proton is increasing and one nucleon number is same? तो देखिए बेटा, if I ask you to calculate the number of protons and neutrons in carbon atom, so there are 6 protons in carbon. And how many neutrons are there? 14 minus 6. So how many neutrons are here, students? 14 minus 6, what we will get? Yes, beta, 14 minus 6. 8, exactly. So carbon contains 8 neutrons. But if I talk about the nitrogen, so nitrogen has 7 protons. All right, nitrogen has 7 protons. And how many neutrons are there, beta? 14 minus 7. So there are 7 neutrons. तो बेसिकली बीटा इमिशन में हो क्या रहा है? तो बीटा इमिशन में ये हो रहा है कि एक न्यूट्रॉन जो है वो अपने आप को डिकम्पोज कर रहा है 1 प्रोटॉन और 1 इलेक्ट्रॉन में. बीटा इमिशन में होता क्या है बेटा? वन न्यूट्रॉन इज डिकम्पोज इनटू 1 प्रोटॉन एंड 1 इलेक्ट्रॉन. तो 1 प्रोटॉन जो बन रहा है वो प्रोटॉन नंबर इंक्रीज कर रहा है डॉटर न्यूक्लियाई का, ठीक है, और 1 इलेक्ट्रॉन जो है वो बीटा पार्टिकल फॉर्म कर रहा है. तो बेसिकली न्यूट्रॉन इज कन्वर्टिंग इनटू प्रोटॉन एंड इलेक्ट्रॉन. न्यूट्रॉन इज कन्वर्टिंग इनटू प्रोटॉन एंड इलेक्ट्रॉन. सो व्हाट शुड बी द राइट आंसर? What should be the right answer, students? One neutron is converting into proton and electron, so it means students B. Option B बेटा, न्यूट्रॉन कन्वर्ट हो रहा है प्रोटॉन. भाई न्यूट्रॉन कम हो रहा है ना, एक न्यूट्रॉन कम हो रहा है और एक प्रोटॉन बढ़ रहा है और एक इलेक्ट्रॉन मिल रहा है. एग्जैक्टली देखिए, न्यूट्रॉन कम हो रहा है ना, न्यूट्रॉन कम हो रहे हैं और एक प्रोटॉन यहाँ पे बढ़ रहा है और इलेक्ट्रॉन बीटा पार्टिकल की फॉर्म में मिल रहा है. इसका मतलब न्यूट्रॉन डिकम्पोज हो रहा है प्रोटॉन और इलेक्ट्रॉन में. ठीक है, तो दैट्स वाई बेटा बी इज द करेक्ट आंसर. इज इट क्लियर टू यू? इज इट क्लियर टू यू स्टूडेंट्स? All right, now I'm moving towards the next question, question number 38. In question number 38, they are saying a space probe measures the gravitational field strength at 4 different